we're going to do this. This is how we start off our shows, okay? We start off on the left side, and we go, huddle, 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 save, 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 build a, build a, build a,
Because they
all right, and huddle, 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 save, 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 build a, build a, build a, sound money, sound money, huddle, 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 save, 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 build a, build a, build a, sound money, sound money, huddle, 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 save, 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 build a, build a, build a, sound money, sound money, all right. Save, 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 build a, build a, build a, sound money, sound money, save, 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 build a, build a, build a, sound money, sound money, save, 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 build a, build a, build a, sound money, sound money, all right.
Huddle, 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 save, 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 build a, sound money. Okay, guys, it's Ugly Old Goat here. It is August 14th, 2024. And just before we did this show, we got this news release from Cointelegraph that apparently the United States government has moved 10,000 Bitcoin. Well, guys, that should not come as any great surprise. If you recall, a few weeks ago, I did a poll asking whether, the Biden administration would sell off their Bitcoin so that Donald Trump could not make it into a strategic reserve. And that's where we are today. I mean, this is just, I don't know that that's why they moved it. That's not going to surprise me. There is a lot going on. But that's why I want to cover this other article, because, yeah, this is significant. Yes, it puts a lot of fear in the market. But I disagree with this article completely. I don't think the 2024 election is going to determine Bitcoin's status whatsoever. In fact, the more intervention we have, I have to honestly say that Trump may do Bitcoin more harm than good. We don't need the government in Bitcoin at all. We don't need the ETFs. We don't need regulated futures exchanges by the CFTC that are undeliverable contracts, because they know if they ever had a deliverable contract in Bitcoin, that would be the end of the monetary system totally, because it is a market that could definitely be cornered. There's a fixed amount of Bitcoin. It has no flexibility. So the thing I want to emphasize is don't put too much stock in this idea of the government is going to determine Bitcoin status. We determine Bitcoin status. Yeah, now they can do certain things, and we covered that too. We covered yesterday, I think it was Matthew Crowder's study said, yeah, I mean, Bitcoin could go into a bear market if governments started, stopped spending all this money and balance their budgets, and if banks stopped arbitrarily closing bank accounts. That's the approach he used, and I used the other approach. I said, yeah, Bitcoin can go into a bear market when we restore sound money. If we had sound money, we don't need Bitcoin. Bitcoin was invented because we had corrupt money, and it was a solution, and an ingenious solution. Now, there's a lot going on in the markets. I've come to some new realizations based on I think sound economics. I want to cover some of those things. Let's look at the markets quickly first, And let's look at the Bitcoin market. Here is the Merck exchange. This is the daily. We've on this news. We've got a down day. Okay. Although so far, the market has had this huge, spike. We filled the gap. We had that 3 weeks of trading that was isolated, and we went, and it was actually gap down. I don't know, it was a huge gap. Do we still have those old pictures of the gap somewhere else? Because I'm going to kind of show that. But here it is on the weekly chart, but it looks completely different now from when it first happened. That's why reading charts it's not a science, guys. It is an art because, okay, there is what the market looked like before this break, and this was on a Friday when the Chicago Mercantile Exchange closes, and that's what happened. So you get that huge gap down between Friday and Monday. And in fact, the gap was bigger than that because it rallied substantially. I don't know if we go here, I can't go there now, but on this day here, we can see, well, we can go back and look at the opening. I just close this? Okay. Okay. So I'm still on the same place.
That's the first one.
I don't want the first one. I want out of it completely.
Okay.
There? Okay, there? Okay. So if we go here, this is, we can look right here. This market closed at 62,945 and it opened at 58,885. So you had about a $5,000 gap, and you left all this down here. Now we gapped and went all the way down here, and then we rallied up. So we're in a consolidation range here. And the big question, are we going to continue to liquidate? Are we going to go down and take out this year's low under that 40,000, or are we going to hold in here and work our way back up? You got a big problem in Bitcoin, regardless, because you have all these people that are trapped. I'm sorry, guys, but if you bought it up here, you're trapped. And, if you need to sell your Bitcoin, you're going to be selling it at a loss. And if you hold on to it longer, you might be selling it at a more loss if you need the money in December. This is why markets are made for hedgers. If you have your HODL, you need to learn to hedge your Bitcoin. You take a very small percentage of your total HODL and learn to hedge it. But this is, if we look at the, this is the traditional market. I look at it, the perpetual BitMEX. I think it's the most reliable. And of course, it is a completely different beast. Again, because we have these mixed markets, the technical situation is completely different because moving averages are different. So you need to just be aware of this, that technical analysis is not what you used to, you can use it to trade the market, but you want to really trade your equity because you're not always going to, you can lose in trading. That's not the issue. The issue is you have to avoid that catastrophic loss, and that's what these markets are here for, so that you can hedge yourself. Let's go look at the gold market because, again, I've been very bullish on gold. It's selling off with this other stuff, but not to the degree. I'm very, very bullish on gold. Now, I'm looking at gold to have a huge inflationary move. I'm also think that there's going to be a change in public opinion about sound money. I think it's already happening, and I think the signal of that was when Donald Trump announced no tax on temps. He planted an idea, a seed, and he planted it in the young generation. The guys are out there serving us old guys. And you know what? No labor should be taxed. These people working bistros and coffee waiters and waitresses, they should not be taxed. But no man's labor. If you work in a factory, you shouldn't have your labor taxed. If you're a farm worker, you shouldn't have your labor taxed. They're taxing your labor and then giving it to illegal immigrants and people that don't work. Sorry, guys, that's what's messed up. That's what's wrong with the system. It's real easy to fix. You just got to change your thinking. You got stinking thinking, and you need to fix it. All right. things aren't that hard to solve, guys. I mean, it just isn't that hard to solve. You just have to be determined that this is what you're going to do. And you know what? Other causes, the cause for freedom, people are always great. Well, as long as it's my freedom, but freedom for somebody else, that's something that kind of, that's the problem with inflation. We have an inflationary mentality. And you know what? Bitcoiners are probably the worst. There's Bitcoin crony capitalism all over the place right now. They're all in Washington. They want, they're trying to, hey, Bitcoin, the beauty of Bitcoin is it can't be confiscated by the government. So why do you keep trying to put it into government programs? You need to get rid of these silly tax favorite systems. You need to get out of the trough of gaining these government contracts. We're in the middle of a huge military industrial complex. It's fighting wars all over the world. That's not what America was ever about. It evolved into that, and it really evolved into that after we nationalized the gold standard. We had no wars when we had a gold standard that was free. It was shortly after that we nationalized the gold standard, because it worked so well, that the Federal Reserve adopted it. And of course, now they could go into World War I and finance the biggest war that the world had ever known. And then we had a whole century of wars, and we haven't stopped them. This is, it's just silly. I'm not going to go there right now. That's enough. But I want to go look at the stock market. It's crawling its way back up. Again, I'm not bullish on the stock market. The way I would trade the market, you would be a seller this week. And whatever this week's high would be, that would be your risk. But I think you can sell this stock market up here. And the only market that I'm super really bullish on is this gold market. I want to cover some other news that just came out. And this was just brought to my attention. Leah Wall, she's a good friend. She used to be a commenter with Tone Vase and a Bitcoin maximalist. And all of a sudden now, holy shit, what the WTF happened to Leah Wall? She turned into a full-time scammer now. Well, I don't think she's a scammer. And I do understand a little bit about some of these shit coins, some of the altcoins, and one of the things that I don't think I think Bitcoiners need to grab hold of this thing. Bitcoin is really not suitable for cash. And in fact, if it evolves at all, it will have to be on a Bitcoin standard. It will have to be some kind of a Bitcoin substitute that's tied to Bitcoin. Bitcoin is the ultimate answer, but when we were under a gold standard, very little gold circulated. There were gold coins. You could take your dollars and get gold coins for them, but most people didn't, because they were unwieldy. And what was traded was other coins, because a gold dollar would be so small, you couldn't make a gold dollar. So they made silver dollars that were redeemable into the same dollar amount of gold. So you just, and there's a seigniorage. In other words, the silver on a silver dollar, the intrinsic value of the silver was less than the $20 an ounce for gold. So what happened, the government would make silver dollars, and the seigniorage is the difference between the face value, which would be $1, which is substantially higher than the amount of silver that was in the silver dollar. So that difference was, that difference is called seigniorage, and that was a revenue that the government got for providing that service. Now, there was corruption involved too, because when they created the silver dollars and the silver dimes and the silver quarters and the silver 50-cent pieces, the mining interests in Idaho, they were all gung-ho, and they actually passed legislation that the government had to make, buy so many of the silver dollars. So the people that were in the silver business were getting paid way over price for their silver. They were getting subsidized. The government came in and bought all the silver. They were, but by putting that stamp on it, now these silver dollars circulated as though it was gold, and then the intrinsic value in the silver. Now there wasn't a silver value to show how much we inflated the currency. Eventually, when we got off the gold standard completely, the silver price, of course, went over what the dollar price is now. I don't know what the silver price is now, but it's you know, I don't know, $40 or $50. I haven't looked at silver in years, but that was now what we have in these Solana, and I understand the reason she's promoting it. The biggest usage in cryptocurrency now for cash are the stable coins that are tied to the U.S. dollars. And to explain a little bit about this, no, that's the basis. Where's that other article I had? Eddie, where's that article?
First one.
I want the one on the last one I sent you.
Yeah, it's the first one.
No, the one on stable coins. Go look at, let me put it here. This one. I don't think you ever posted that one. All right. All right. We're going to look at an article and make sure you put this on the show notes. Okay. One, I understand why she's promoting Solana. What Solana is doing is they are basically the steam engine, the route to send stable coins across the world, and this USDT is basically serviced through Ethereum and Tron, while the USDC is serviced by Solana, and they are doing it for less than if you use the Ethereum network. So they have basically the SDC is based on the Solana network, and the USDT is based on Ethereum or Tron. Now, shit coins are cash. You know, one thing about Roger Ver, he was right about one thing, and I think Bitcoiners need to learn this. Shit coins make good cash. You spend the money, you spend the bad money. Okay, USDT, USDC, they're tied to the dollar. It's not good money. So you want to be doing business. I mean, and you have to be doing business in Bitcoin, in dollars or whatever your local currency is. It could be Mexican pesos. It could be the European euro. It could be Russian ruble. It could be, but wherever you are locally, that's the terms where you have to do business. And the most common way to do business is the dollars. And a lot, I mean, so basically it's a back end. This is where you have to do your short-term basis. Doing business, to have a business that's solely in Bitcoin is very, very difficult to do. In fact, they're just not suited for it. And I'm not sure that it needs to be or should be. I think that eventually what's much more likely to happen, again, I want to go to this article, the election's not going to determine Bitcoin. What's going to determine Bitcoin is our thinking. And if we get in the mindset of having sound money, and the only way we're going to do that is the governments are going to have to be forced. They won't want to do it, but they will be forced to resurrect this gold standard. And this is why I think from a technical point of view and a fundamental point of view, I am so super bullish on gold. And I think that, and again, I'll go through this one more time. The fundamentals are there. They've been there all along. The old boomers aren't totally stupid. Maybe they're not up in the crypto world, but let's see, where is it? XBT. Oh, where's the gold market?
There it is.
Oh, there it is. Okay. So here's this gold market, and I'm going to zoom out on this. This is why I'm so bullish on gold. Whoops. All right. I've shown you this before, but you have this huge cup. It's a whole decade, guys. It started in November started way back in 2011, okay? And it went on for 10 years, a whole decade. And now we've had this handle that's gone on for 4 years. This is extremely bullish, okay? Now, back in the 1980, we had the guy that wrote International Man, I can't remember his name, but at any rate, he was a big gold guru way back then, and he was calling for $3,000 and $6,000 gold way back in 1980. Of course, it only went to about $600, and then that was a spike. And it still hasn't reached $3,000, but it will now, and I think it will super exceed it. This is a super bullish formation, long term, and medium term also. Now you have an extremely high scenario of making the low in the first part of August with gold. And so this is where you're on. If we go to the daily, let's go spread this out. Whoops. I don't know how to make this thing. There we go. All right. Now let's refresh, research. There we go. All right. This is your daily. And you've got this huge, nice consolidation here. You made new contract highs. You took out the 2-week high, and if you look at this weekly, this is extremely bullish in here. You're hanging in here, and I see no way but up in gold. Now, if we go into this hyperinflationary scenario, yes, Bitcoin's going to do very well too. Bitcoin, it's never too late for Bitcoin, but I think it's important to learn Bitcoin's limitations. It's not going to develop as a world currency, and particularly for cash. These other systems are much more efficient for that. And I actually used it myself these for the first time a few weeks ago, and the transactions are much cheaper and they go through a lot faster. So in that sense, Roger Ver is right. But the problem is, if you become the standard, you're no longer the cash. The cash is basically the bad money, and that's why. But you need it to maintain the standard. So I think there is a use case for some of these platforms to send value. And without it being Bitcoin, it's a temporary thing. Bitcoin is what you want to save, and the altcoins are something that you want to spend. Now, the altcoins are used, like I say, Solana and Ethereum and Tron are used to send the USDTs and the US dollar, these different stable coins around the world, and people are doing that, and it's a smart thing to do. But you can do small amounts. You don't have to wait for the blockchain, which can take anywhere from a few minutes to a couple hours. And so these other systems are performing a need in the marketplace. And I don't think that they're totally useless. There is a use case, but they're not going to be a standard. If you notice that the use case is they are providing a way to transfer a dollar substitute around the world without the banking system. That's the value. And that's a net plus, guys. I mean, it really is. Some of the other things just they haven't developed as they should. I mean, I understand the Lightning Network and all that, but it has shortcomings, and it's kind of like driving a Model T Ford rather than a modern car. And I think that there is a use case for some of these other platforms. Now, do you need a token to do it? No, I don't think that you do, but that's the way they're doing it. That's I think one of the biggest problems. So you have this token that has a fluctuating currency, but the use case is again And I understand where Leah's coming from. They're looking at this thing and they understand that wealth is being transferred using the Solana network. Wealth is being transferred using Tron. Wealth is being transferred using Ethereum. And wealth is being transferred using Bitcoin too. Don't get me wrong, but for the vast majority of the and particularly smaller transactions, there is a use case for cash, and the cash is not. The cash is what you want to get. You don't want to hold. You don't want to. I disagree with that. You want to be buying Solana or you want to be stacking Solana. Maybe you do. I mean, the shit coins are shit coins, but there is a legitimate use case. Is all I'm saying. That there's a long way to go for Bitcoin to be used as a standard and to efficiently send it around the world. If you're doing small transactions, you don't need the security of Bitcoin. What you need the security of Bitcoin is for the very large transactions. And also, it's the idea that it can't be confiscated. That's the biggest deal, and it can't be hacked. But the bearish case for Bitcoin is that not this article where the government's going to sell 10,000 Bitcoin. Now, again, I pointed this out. This is a very real possibility. As soon as Trump made that announcement, oh, we're going to make the world safe for Bitcoin, and we want to make it into a strategic stockpile. I said, well, I wonder if Biden will get rid of the Bitcoin just so Trump doesn't put it into strategic stockpile. Now, actually, there's no reason for government to have the Bitcoin, so it's not that big a deal. If they sell it, it'd be the best thing in the long run for Bitcoin. But if I have to admit, if I was president and my number one thing was to look out after the nation, I would definitely not. I wouldn't accumulate the Bitcoin. The Bitcoin that the government has seized it should probably be returned to the owners they took it from first. But if they don't do that, then they should keep it as a strategic reserve. Now, Robert Kennedy Jr. He wants to buy Bitcoin, and I think that's just a political move. No, the government does not need to get into Bitcoin. That is a political move. I kind of know the people behind it, and it's just another political game. They're making promises, and there is a Bitcoin community that is promoting this the Kennedy program to buy so much Bitcoin every month. And I'm sorry, guys, that is Bitcoin crony capitalism. And I know you guys that are doing it. I mean, I like you and all that. We're friends, but you're wrong, and it's wrong. It's corrupt, and it shouldn't be done. So the government needs to stay out of Bitcoin. But boy, if you're a big hodler, everybody's trying. It's who's the guy, the FTX guy? He was giving all this money to the different politicians, and of course, it didn't quite work out so well for him. But the election is not going to determine the status of Bitcoin. What's going to determine the status of Bitcoin is the psychic and the morality of the world, and particularly of the United States. And there is no indication right now that Donald Trump is anything but an inflationist. He made his bones through that kind of an economy. Sound money is totally foreign to Donald Trump, and it's totally foreign to Kamala Harris. So, but these politicians never move from wisdom. They nearly always move from necessity. And that's what I see on the horizon. We are so far down the inflationary road that the only way out of it is that they're going to have to resurrect the gold standard at some point in time. And the governments of the world have gold reserves, the major governments of the world, and they can do it very quickly, but it would be at a much, much higher price than the gold market is today. And then that would be it for gold. Now you've got sound money, and you're going to see the value of gold just after it has this huge bull market spikes, then that's the hyperwave for gold. In other words, I'm seeing a huge hyperwave coming in gold. So at any rate, Leo Wald is promoting Solana. I understand why. I mean, I like her. I understand why she's doing it. I'm not going to condemn anybody for. I don't think she's scamming anyone, but I do think that there's a legitimate. If you, I've never used the USDC, but it is a competitor with the USD Tether, and that is where that's where the common man. I mean, yes, we have our Bitcoiners. I get it, but people that are into crypto, they're using these dollar stable coins, and even Bitcoiners are. And to be a purist to the extent you have to be able to do business, in the economy, and the way and Solana and not really Solana, but the idea of these stable coins that actually broke the SWIFT system. There's no reason to have to use the SWIFT system to pass dollars internationally anymore, and that is the use case for some of these crypto coins. All right, so I've covered it today. Do we have any questions?
Remove that.
Okay. All right. Nope. All right. All right, guys. So that's it. Nothing's really changed. Let's go look real quick at the seasonal. Here's what we're still looking at. We're in the season for the low in Bitcoin. So it just followed this like a T. 1st of August, it just fell out of bed. Now, we probably aren't going to resume an uptrend for the rest of this month and maybe into September. Now, I could be wrong, but this is very strong. And you just got all this resistance over the market right now. And the question is, if the government sells their stockpile just to, show Trump, who's boss for right now.
Can they do that?
Well, they can. I don't know what the rules are. I think the rules are they're supposed to make a public announcement and sell it through an auction and not just dump it on the market. But there'll be plenty of buyers if they decide to do that. But that would also be a reason for the market to break down and make new lows for the year, which I just don't think you can rule that out yet. So that's where we're at. And like I say, the basis is still up there. So this is not bullish. The base, we're not. That would be the other thing too. If we break the market, down under 40,000, we'll probably go into a backwardization again, and it would be. I don't think it'd be very long lived, but it's when the market is in a backwardization that the market has changed and it's fundamentally bullish, because there's no reason to be buying the spot anymore. Everybody will be buying the futures, and it can stay there for a while, but it doesn't last very long. All right, so that's it, guys. If you want to support what I'm doing, please check out our website. All of my articles are here. They're free. I write on Medium, but you can find them here. Sign up for the boot camp if you have a HODL. Read this. What's that? What do you want?
And go to the second one. No, the second
This one? What's that?
Scroll all the way down.
What's
Scroll
that?
all the way down. Keep going. There it is.
What's this?
Get some comments from
Oh, okay. We got somebody from Bitcoin Mexico. All right. I don't agree with any of those points. Government can stop Bitcoin if they stop freezing bank accounts. It's like saying gunpowder can be stopped if government stop using violence. Uh, well, okay. I mean, the problem that you have right now, one of the biggest, Bitcoin's not going to be stopped regardless. But one of the use cases, one of the reasons that Bitcoin, in fact, Tone Vays admits the reason he got into Bitcoin is when what was it, Malta or Greece or something? Anyway, they shut down all the bank accounts. You couldn't access your bank. And then they gave everybody a 30% haircut. So this is what the demand is. Now, that never used to happen. The only time that would happen, when you do that, it actually causes a lot of problems. You know, World War II started, one of the reasons Japan invaded, attacked Pearl Harbor, is we froze all their assets. We froze all their bank accounts, and we wouldn't sell them any oil. So once you do that, now what you do is it's not going to stop Bitcoin, but what it's going to do, it builds. We're not talking about stopping Bitcoin. Bitcoin will never be stopped, but we're talking about a bearish case for Bitcoin. Okay, Bitcoin can go back, or governments can go back to a gold standard. It's been tried many times through history. Yes, it has. No, it never failed until the government adopted it. The point is, it has never failed. Gold has been valued through every civilization. Yes, civilizations have failed, but gold used as money, no, that's never failed. Governments living by a gold standard, yes, that's failed. What a gold standard does, it shows it measures the corruption that you have in government. And one of the classic examples is in the United States. The first time that we issued fiat money, it was a play by Abraham Lincoln and the Greenbacks. And it was very much opposed to, and so much so that after the Civil War, they were determined to restore, to redeem all of those greenbacks, and they were. The discount disappeared. They traded it apart, and the green, it was solved. So, and we had a sound from after the Civil War until we nationalized the gold standard. We had sound money, and that was the Gilded Age. That was the epic imperial, or whatever in Europe they call it different from what we call it, the Gilded Age. All right, Bitcoin ETFs. BlackRock doesn't even hold 1% of the supply, so if they do a negative short, it's very easy to squeeze them out of their negative short. Okay. All right. Well, again, I don't have any. Those are good arguments, but I don't think I'm not talking about Bitcoin's. Please, I didn't say Bitcoin's going to be stopped. Okay, I'm a Bitcoin. I'm not a maximalist. I'm a Bitcoin standard bearer. I think it should be your standard. Okay, that's what I preach. But I'm not arguing that Bitcoin is going to be stopped. What we're arguing about is what can cause a bear market. What can cause the very real risk of Bitcoin going under 40,000. This is what I warned about. I'm not making a prediction, but I'm saying as you're hodling, you need to understand the inherent risks. And Bitcoin it sucks as cash. Sorry, it just does. It's a decent store of value over the long run, but it's horrible store of value over the short run. Gold is much more useful in the short run as money, and so is the U.S. dollar. Bitcoin is a worthy speculation, and definitely should be in your portfolio. It's not going to disappear. I'm not saying that Bitcoin is going to zero. So please, you need to put everything in the proper context. Okay, and like I said, black. The point is, we've got all of this Bitcoin that is not in individual custody. The strength of Bitcoin is all of the custodial wallets. Once you have these, or your own wallet, if once you have your Bitcoin in these custodial wallets, once you have them on these exchanges, it's not your Bitcoin, and that you need to have them out. You need to have them on the exchanges so you can hedge. I'm not, but the what you don't want, the idea of having retirement accounts to get a tax break is just silly. Instead, let's just stop taxing. Why should labor be taxed? That's the number one question I'm asking. Why should we make a special case? Well, if you put it they restricted it at first. You could only put it in the stock market. That they allowed you to put it in other things, but the idea of having a special tax break for these IRAs and retirement accounts, what you're doing is you're making your retirement confiscatable, and it's not wise. And what you've done is you've turned unconfiscatable Bitcoin into confiscatable Bitcoin. That's not good for Bitcoin. It might be good temporarily for the price, but in the long run, it's not. I think that's my counter arguments. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in, guys. Again, don't look. It'll be interesting to see if the government sells the Bitcoin. We also have this Mt. Gox, but I don't think that the people in the Mt. Gox that recover the Bitcoin, they're not going to be interested in selling. But you do have a very real possibility of the Biden administration selling this Bitcoin between now and the changing of the guard, assuming that Donald Trump gets elected. If he doesn't get elected and it's as obvious as 2020 that he wins the election and it's rigged again, I think we've got a revolution probably coming in the United States, because I don't think they might be able to pull off in 2020, but it's become evident to everyone now that the whole election of 2020 was a gigantic fraud, and he won there's no question that he won it. They used the COVID to fix the election, and they've been trying to destroy Trump ever since. And by an act of God, not an act of God, but by divine providence, he's emerged. Those iconic pictures of him, the near miss, and him rising up saying "fight, fight, fight." Yeah, and he's not going to lose the election. If he does, then we will be in a civil war. And so, but that said, Donald Trump is not a panacea. He's not the hope for our future. He is a bulwark for the terrible position that we're in now. But there has to be a fundamental change in the thinking of America if America is going to get through this one. So, and we're a long, long way from that. So, anyway, so we'll see if the government sells this stuff. Again, nothing's really changed as far as Bitcoin goes. 40,000 is still in the cards. If we go down there, it would probably be over some news like this. And now that people are looking at this, it's had a little adverse effect on the market today, but it'll be forgotten about tomorrow. But it's still going to be there. And I think the normal procedure in selling the stuff is they have to announce a public auction and so forth. But we don't have an honest government anymore. So the Democrats are, they kind of see the writing on the table, and and who knows, what desperate measures they're going to take to maintain the power that they have. All right, and it's not Democrats. I mean, that's just the party that's being used right now. But I'm no more. I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. I was never a Trump fan until he became president. He was the once he became president and the way he stood up to the powers that be, that's when I was impressed. And he, without doubt, he's the best president that I've seen as long as I've lived. And not that I agree with all of his policies, because I don't, but he at least he's a man. And he does love his country, and those are two important things. As far as the rest of it goes, well, our trust is not in Donald Trump. Okay. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in. We'll